guys, welcome to Dylan's Little Hobbies, and today we are talking about my top 10 favorite Star Wars The Clone Wars characters. Okay, so Star Wars The Clone Wars has been announced. Season 7 is coming out. Oh my god, I can't wait to see it. When I first heard the news, I was taken back by it a little bit, and maybe even a little ticked off, because Star Wars The Clone Wars is really the last thing I had to my childhood. I think I was in either 11th or 12th grade, almost a senior, when Disney took over and they canceled Star Wars The Clone Wars. So, it's the last thing I have that really is a part of my childhood. And I absolutely love Star Wars The Clone Wars. And a part of me wanted it finished. A part of me was hoping that they would bring it back. But a large part of me thought they would never do it. And an even larger part of me thought that maybe that's for the best. Especially since in the last couple of months leading up to this announcement, Disney has not done the best job with Star Wars. But anyway, after realizing that that's all in the past, this is Dave Filoni's baby. Dave Filoni is going to do a good job here, and we all love Star Wars The Clone Wars because of Dave Filoni. I decided to, relax and just enjoy what's coming up next, which is, of course, Star Wars Season 7 of The Clone Wars. In fact, I got so excited that the day right after they started the announcement, after I had some time to think it over and everything, I started watching Star Wars The Clone Wars over again. I watched Season 1 through Season 6. Oh my god, it was an enormous binge watch. Probably the biggest binge watch I've ever done in a long time. And I did it in less than 3 weeks. Wow. That kind of surprises me that I was able to do it in less than 3 weeks. But you know what, I have been feeling sick the past week, so it was like I was feeling sick, had nothing else to do, so why not sit down and watch Star Wars The Clone Wars. And after watching Star Wars The Clone Wars this is my third time viewing the entire series, come to some interesting conclusions as to what my top 10 favorite characters are. So without further ado, let's begin. Let's talk about number 10, and my number 10 favorite Star Wars The Clone Wars character is Dooku. Okay, so of all the characters in Star Wars, why is Dooku on this? Now, this is my personal thoughts on the character of Dooku. So, I bet no one's going to agree with me. But when I first watched the second movie, Star Wars, and of course, the third movie, the most useless, boring, absolute disaster character, in my opinion, was not Jar Jar Binks. I indeed enjoyed Jar Jar Binks more than I enjoyed Dooku. I hated everything about Dooku. He was a one-dimensional character. He was simply shoehorned in there for the sake of having a villain in the movie. And then in the third movie, we don't even get anything from him. He just dies. The only other character of less story to him would probably be Darth Maul. Jar Jar has more of a story than Darth Maul or Dooku. And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because I absolutely cannot stand Dooku in the second movie or the third movie. The politics are more interesting than Dooku when it comes to the movies. Star Wars The Clone Wars changed my mind on Dooku, and here's why. What they were able to do with Dooku, making him an actual villain, it's one of the best parts of Star Wars The Clone Wars for me. And one of the best things from it is whenever he was fighting Anakin and Obi-Wan, they had, in a simple word, they just ran off of each other so well. they were simply villains, and he was simply a great adversary to both Obi-Wan and Anakin. And every time he showed up, you know that stuff was going down. And the very best parts to me when it comes to this character is when there's this episode where he gets captured by pirates, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin get captured by pirates. And the way they all play off of each other, you know that they all hate each other, but they have to work together to get out of this situation. And it's just, I can't explain it. One of my favorite episodes, and the way they play off each other, the dynamic between the three characters, it's why Dooku makes this list. With that said, he is at the bottom of the totem pole for me, but he is one of my favorite characters thanks to Star Wars: The Clone Wars. However, I don't think he's one of my all-time favorite characters. He is definitely a big part of Clone Wars for me. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about my number 9 now. My number 9 favorite character for a lot of people, and I do mean a lot of people, is probably going to be higher up on this list. However, for me, I don't know why he does make this list, but he doesn't make it higher than the list. Which kind of disappoints me. But then again, the other characters did such a better job than him. Maybe it's because we saw more from these other characters than him. But with that said, he is one of my favorite characters. Let's go ahead and talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi is known from the original trilogy. He's the wise old Jedi Master, and that's all we got from him. And then we have him in the second and the third movie. And let me not even talk about the first movie. In the first movie, he meets Anakin, and that is the only real scene we have of him. Of course, there is his master dies and everything, but it's supposed to be Anakin's story. Why is this becoming Obi-Wan's story? It's pretty boring. I hate the first movie, I really do. And then in the second movie, my god, we don't even get to see the character growth between Obi-Wan and Anakin at all. It becomes absolutely boring. We're just thrown into this situation where we know these two characters know each other and have a relationship with each other, but we don't get to see it. It sucks. And then in the third movie, it's even worse because we get thrown all the way at the end of their relationship. What happened in between? How did these characters grow? How did they grow fond of each other? We simply do not know. But Star Wars: The Clone Wars fixes that by giving us more Obi-Wan, by giving us more Anakin. The way they play off each other, the banter between each other, it feels like they're brothers. In the third movie, and even in the second movie, I really never felt like they were brothers. I know that they were supposed to be, but I never felt it. In Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I feel that connection, which is just great. I love it. Not to mention, we actually do get some real character growth when it comes to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, you can clearly see throughout the series that Obi-Wan does tend to change his thought process a little bit by the end of the series. And one of the best arcs of Star Wars: The Clone Wars is the Siege of Mandalore, where he actually has kind of a secret relationship with the Duchess of Mandalore. And I'm not going to spoil what happens to her at the end. All I'm going to say is she does die. But, man, it hit me hard. I was not expecting it to hit me hard. And it's not because we got to know her, but because we got to know more about Obi-Wan thanks to her. It just means that Obi-Wan does, or at least can, understand what Anakin goes through later on in Episode 3, and it makes it that much more frustrating that Obi-Wan doesn't try to help Anakin more in Episode 3. But I love Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. I seriously do. With that said, let's go to my number 8 favorite character. And my number 8 favorite character is, without a doubt, Hondo. Hondo. I love Hondo. And like I said, One of the best arcs is when Anakin and Obi-Wan and Dooku get captured by the pirate. Well, guess who they get captured by? They get captured by Hondo. And I know what you guys are saying. Pirate? Pirate? Don't you mean bounty hunter? No. I mean pirate. I mean Captain Jack. Take Captain Jack for a second. Make him an alien and put him on a spaceship. You got Hondo. And I never thought that I would want Captain Jack in Star Wars. I never did. But boy, was I wrong. I love Hondo. Every time I see him, every time he pops up, it brings an absolute smile to my face. He's such a great character, and he's a pirate. He's a straight-up pirate. You cannot trust him. With that said, he'll be on your side if he'll simply be on your side if it works for him. But he has no problem with turning on you in an instant. He's a simple pirate. Love the guy. With that said, let's go to number 7. Number 7 is a bounty hunter, and it's surprising that he's not higher on the list for me, because again, it's surprising that Hondo's not higher on the list for me. You know what? I think these two characters might have been in my top 5 before my third viewing of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, but without further ado, my number 7 favorite character is without a doubt Bounty Hunter Cad Bane. Okay, so this character is what Jango Fett was supposed to be, what Boba Fett was supposed to be. Just a straight up bounty hunter. Cares nothing for anything except the money. And if you have the money, he'll do his job. Oh my god. He's just gruesome to watch. And ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. One of my favorite arcs that he's in is when he's going after a holocron, and God, what he does in that arc, I'm not going to spoil it, but he's just absolutely ruthless. Let's talk about number 6. Okay, my number 6 favorite character, when I saw him, I was very intrigued. With that said, I never thought that he was going to play a really large role in the story. Not as large as he did. The guy's name is Savage Press. Savage Press is from Dathomir, just like Darth Maul. In fact, he's Darth Maul's little brother, and I say little brother with a smile because the dude is like, I don't know, he's like twice the size of Darth Maul. Okay, not twice the size, but he's like super tall, super mean, an absolute beast. He's a monster, an absolute beast. And what he's able to do to Obi-Wan is just fantastic. But what's really incredible about him is we really get to see the relationship grow between him and his brother Darth Maul. It's just great. I really enjoyed Oppress. I really did, especially in my third viewing of the series. Okay, let's talk about number 5. Number 5, Ventress. What? Okay, here's another character that, much like Dooku, I never liked. I never did. I thought she was such a one-dimensional character. It was great to see Ahsoka go after her a couple times, and even when she fights Obi-Wan in the first movie, it was just great. And what I mean by first movie, I mean Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie, not Star Wars Episode 1. In Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie, she goes after Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan goes after her, and stuff like that. It's great, but really, I never really liked the character until we had like a backstory arc on her. What they were able to do with the character is fascinating, and how she comes back into play later on in the more incredible storylines is it's just interesting. The way they took the character, I never expected them to go the way they did with this character. And yeah, she is in my top 5 favorite characters, but she ain't in my top 4. Let's talk about my top 4 favorite characters. Number 4, Darth Maul. Darth Maul. Okay. Again, he looks really awesome. He really does. But what does he do in the first movie? He has one line. He fights Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. He loses to Obi-Wan, who is a Padawan for God's sakes. And he dies. He dies. I hate Darth Maul. He's such a one-dimensional bad guy. Again, to say I despise the character is putting it mildly. I do not like him at all. So when Star Wars The Clone Wars first announced that he was coming back, I wasn't too excited. I really wasn't. I thought, oh dear, this is gonna be terrible. I thought, we already have Count Dooku. Count Dooku is doing really good in the series. Why do we have to bring Darth Maul? My God, I was wrong. Darth Maul being back in the series, they give him such a gruesome and evil character. I end up loving Darth Maul, and that's why Darth Maul beats both Obi-Wan and Dooku in a snap of a finger. He really does. He's an amazing character, and what he does to Obi-Wan, solidified his spot on the show. Now I'm not going to spoil what he does to Obi-Wan, but what he does to Obi-Wan is just heart-wrenching. That's all it is. It's just heart-wrenching. If you guys watch Star Wars The Clone Wars, you know what I'm talking about. I'd much rather have seen him do that. If it was me, if I was Obi-Wan, I would want to be killed more than going through what he did to Obi-Wan. Oh my God, it's just terrible. He's an absolute beast. A monster. Oh God, he's great. With that said, let's talk about my number 3. So I haven't talked about any of the clones. The clones in the show, that's why it's called Clone Wars. And the clones are just, they're great. They're fun. They're incredible. Now, before my 3rd viewing of the series, I would have easily said my favorite clone trooper was Rex. I think that's what everybody says. Their favorite clone trooper is Rex, right? Well, Rex is a fantastic character, and don't get me wrong, I love him, but he doesn't even make my list for some reason. No, the clone that does make my list is Fives. Fives. This is the only picture I could find with Fives on here. I love Fives' character, and especially, you know what solidified him being on this list for me is that whole arc where he ends up finding out about Order 66 and no one believes him, and he ends up dead at the end. I'm sorry for spoiling it, but he does end up dead. And my God, just because of everything he tries to do in that arc, it brings a smile to my face. It really does. And he shows up a lot throughout the Clone Wars. He's one of the few clones that we actually follow throughout the Clone Wars, other than Rex. He's an amazing character, and I love Fives. Okay, let's talk about my last 2 favorites. Before we do, I have to give a little bit of a shout out here to another character that I really wished would make this list, but he simply doesn't because we don't get a lot of him. What we do get from him is absolutely awesome, though. I will always love Yoda. I will always love Yoda. He doesn't make my list, but I will always love Yoda. Alright, let's talk about my top 2 favorite characters of all time when it comes to Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And my number 2 favorite character is Ahsoka Tano. Okay, so this is really interesting to me. Before my third viewing of the series, before my third viewing of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I would have instantly said that Ahsoka Tano was my favorite Star Wars: The Clone Wars character. You know, I absolutely love Ahsoka Tano, and I know from the first movie, a lot of people did not like her. But look, when I saw the first movie, I got it right away. I knew right away from these 2 important signs that this was not supposed to be a movie. The movie, it's supposed to be 3 episodes of the TV show. They just turned it into a movie and they showed up. Look, the animation in that movie, not to mention the entire Star Wars: The Clone Wars show, it's not that the animation isn't beautiful, the animation is great, but it isn't movie quality. The animation isn't movie quality, and neither is the story for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It's great for a TV show. With that said, I fell in love with Ahsoka Tano right away simply because I knew that we were going to meet her and we were going to see how she develops. From the first movie, I know, she's an absolute annoyment to some of the people, and I do agree, she is, but she's a teenager, a kid. After I saw the first movie, I instantly knew that they were going to be doing a TV show, simply because we really didn't get to know her at all in this movie. But I knew that we would be able to get to know her. I knew that this was a brand new character that we would eventually get to see the development of, and how the character grows and how the character changes as time went on, which we seriously did, which is why Ahsoka Tano easily has become a very popular fan favorite character. And before my third watching, she would easily have been my favorite character in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. She is an amazing, great character. But why doesn't she make my number 1? Well, my number 1 favorite character of all time is without a doubt, and this is really interesting to me because when we first met this character, I really was not a fan of this character at all. He's in the first movie, and from the first movie, I mean, the movie's not even about him, even though it's supposed to be. And then in the second movie, my God, he's got nothing but anger issues. I mean, there's nothing to say about this character. And then in the third movie, we just get it to see the end of his journey. That is it. I really didn't like this character at all when I first met this character. With that said, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, thanks to Star Wars: The Clone Wars, we got to meet this character, we got to see this character, we got to know how he thinks and how he grows, and it just brings that much more emotion to when you realize he turned on the galaxy as a whole. Of course, I'm talking about Anakin Skywalker. Did you guys think I was talking about Jar Jar Binks for a second? Because I showed Jar Jar Binks here? I had to do that, guys. God, would that be a different video? Jar Jar Binks ended up being my favorite character. No, Jar Jar Binks is one of the worst characters in Star Wars. Everyone knows that. Anyway, yes, Anakin Skywalker, without a doubt, he's my favorite Star Wars: The Clone Wars character. One of the best characters of all time, and really, because of the Clone Wars, you really get to know this character, you really get to see how this character develops, and it just brings that much more emotion to when he turns into Darth Vader, when he turns on the galaxy as a whole. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I know this ended up being kind of a long video, but I had a lot of fun making it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out. Bye. Let me know down in the comments below, who is your favorite Star Wars The Clone Wars character?